how much water during training should I, be intaking?
Yeah, so how much water we need is going to vary depending on a lot of factors. So it's going to vary depending on how hot it is outside. It's going to vary depending on how long our workout is, how much we sweat. So there's not really a hard and fast rule. So what I usually tell people is to try to make sure that they're at least getting the recommendation from the Institute of Medicine, which is for women about 2.7 liters of water per day, or 9 cups of fluid per day. And then for men, 3.7 liters, or about 13 cups of water or fluid per day. And to give you a little bit more of an idea, this is 1 liter right here. So for women, 2.7, men, 3.7. And that can come from food too. So it doesn't just have to be in the form of water or a sports drink. We get water and fluid from our veggies and fruits, yogurt, soups, and there are some really delicious, refreshing, high water content foods that can definitely contribute to our hydration, like grapes or cucumber or watermelon, things like that. That can really help with hydration.
That's really good to know, because that's where I struggle.
Yes, it can be so hard. And one thing I also recommend is to try to spread your water intake evenly throughout the day, rather than to have a whole bottle at once. By taking small sips throughout the day, that's gonna help us hydrate better than just chugging a whole bottle at once. When we chug a whole bottle at once, it's going to trigger us to have to go to the bathroom a lot sooner, and not be as good for kind of stable and consistent hydration as just taking small sips throughout the day.
So our body is probably using it better if we're doing it throughout the day, like you mentioned.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what are the best ways to monitor my hydration levels leading up to the race?
So the method that we can use that's not perfect in every way, but is kind of the best thing that we got, is just looking at our urine. So what we want to do is we want to aim for a light lemonade color. If it's clear or super clear, we don't necessarily need that much water, much hydration.
Right?
Yep. Or if it's too dark and concentrated, that's a sign that we're not getting good enough hydration. So we're really looking for a light lemonade color just throughout the day. And one kind of struggle point is oftentimes we wake up in the morning and we wake up pretty dehydrated. So what I always recommend to my runners and my patients is to really make sure to try to start your day with some water. If you're going to be going for a run, maybe aim for at least 8 ounces to maybe about half of a liter. If you're not going to be running for a little while later, sip on that half liter throughout the morning. And that's going to help you make sure that you're going into the run hydrated, but not overly hydrated.
Okay. So for the coffee drinkers out there like myself, I have heard before that it's very important to do water before coffee. Is that true? Because I'm very bad at that.
Yeah, so coffee is an interesting one. So for people who habitually drink coffee, who are like our daily coffee drinkers, coffee is not as much of a diuretic as it is for those who never have coffee or never have caffeine. So for you, your body is really used to the caffeine that's in the coffee because you drink it every day, and it's not going to have as much of a diuretic or dehydrating effect on you because you're a habitual drinker. I think it's good to just do a little bit of both though, just to be safe. And one thing I also recommend too is to pair your coffee with some fuel or some food. So that way you're not getting that jolt of caffeine, and you can kind of make sure that you're not spiking your cortisol by having a bunch of caffeine on an empty stomach.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now during race week, what do you suggest that I do for hydration?
Yeah, so for race week, things are going to be a little bit different because we're not doing a ton of running, right? Because we should be resting our body and resting our legs. So we're just going to want to drink to the point where we're getting that light lemonade color for our urine. And we also, this is kind of rewinding a little bit, during our last 2 longer training runs, there's one thing that I want y'all to try. So what I want you to do is, before maybe your second to last long training run, is to weigh yourself either with minimal clothes on or no clothes on before the run, and then do the long run, come back, and then take your clothes off and get back on the scale. And if your weight has gone down by 2 to 3% or more, that can be a sign that you didn't do quite as good of a job of hydrating during that longer run. So we don't want to lose more than 2 to 3% of our body weight during those longer runs. And what that can do is help just give us a little bit better information as to how we should be hydrating during those long runs, which can then inform race day. So that way we know what to expect and we know what our body's going to do with this nutrition and this hydration.
So if we notice that that percentage has dropped too much, we should amp up our hydration during our long runs.
Yeah, so if you lose more than 2 to 3% of your body weight during the long run, then just try to hydrate a little bit more during that long run.